It's in East London's Ridley Road market that you'd expect to find a bargain, but even here, everything's on the up for customers and vendors alike.
You know, people are scared what happened next. Understand? Things are expensive, like 25% or 30%, but we put price more like 10-15% up. We can't put 25%, otherwise people are running away.
Figures from the British Retail Consortium show food prices hitting a high not seen since records began in 2005. With the typical food grocery shop in December costing 13.3% more than it did a year ago, up almost 1% on November's figure. That rise was driven by fresh food, all those Christmas dinner essentials, which was up a record 15%. For so-called ambient foods like pasta and tinned goods, the rise was 11%.
Sugar, flour, bread, those are basic food. Eggs. You can't buy eggs. Even lime. You could have got a 50p lime. Now it's £1. Everything is going up. Clothes and things, they're not going up because you don't need clothes, but you need food. Wages doesn't go up.
Laurel works in social care and says her wages aren't enough to make ends meet.
In the COVID time, I put my life on the line to save other people. But yet still, I get no thanks, nothing. My wages doesn't go up. My children can't find food. You used to eat 3 times a day. Now you have to limit it to 1 time a day.
Russia's war with Ukraine, more than 2,000 miles away, has been increasing food prices all over the world, with the price of animal feed, fertiliser and energy pushing up costs for farmers and producers. Global events played out on price tags in shops across the country.
Consumers have been paying the price for these high energy costs, for the high cost of animal feed and more. At the moment we're seeing particularly high for cuts of meat over Christmas. Sugar rose as a result of limits on what was being exported from India. So there is this sort of perfect storm of costs at the moment that are bearing down.
Higher prices driving more and more people to food banks like this one in Tottenham. When they opened 2 years ago, they fed just 13 families. Today, they feed 1,300.
We're seeing working people, much more of the elderly people coming in.
But just as need goes up, high costs mean people are donating less.
What they used to do before was kind of like buy for themselves and buy a little bit extra in their shopping for the food bank. And we're finding that's slightly dropping off now. Because people are all in the squeeze now.
An extra £1.2 billion, the highest amount since 2004, was spent on credit cards before the festive period began, prompting fears people are getting into debt to fund day-to-day essentials. But this new year brings a light at the end of the tunnel. Over 2023, food prices and inflation as a whole are expected to fall.
And Amelia is in the newsroom now. Amelia, you talked about a light at the end of the tunnel. What can we expect this year?
Well, you heard earlier the Prime Minister's pledging to halve inflation this year, but it was already set to drop. So the latest figures have it above 10%. Well, the Independent Office for Budgetary Responsibility is predicting it should fall below 4% by the end of the year. Why? Well, globally, commodity prices for things like oil and some of the ingredients that we use to make our food are coming down. Wholesale energy prices are falling. An analysis from a firm called Cornwall Insights today suggested average household energy bills could end up being £2,800 a year. Currently, the government's keeping them artificially at £2,500, but they were expected to hit £3,000 after April, so they'll still be expensive, but less expensive than predicted. That said, they will stay stubbornly above pre-pandemic levels until the end of the decade.
And what about prospects for business?
Well, there's still a big question mark over the energy price guarantee for business. Now, that's the money that the government gives businesses to help with energy bills. That comes to an end in April, and today the Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, met with business groups to discuss what will happen after that. Now, the Treasury told us the current scheme, which cost £18 billion, was unsustainably expensive. Business groups say they're expecting that support to halve. We should find out next week, so let's see.